I might just be the cocoa evangelist for the rest of my life. I'm like, I bring the gospel and I bring the God food, both of which are supremely good news. I'm like, what else is there to give people? And there's a whole world of people that need it. I'm like, I might just be a gospel cocoa evangelist for the rest of my life. I'm like, it's easy, it's fun, it's rewarding, it's beautiful, it's supernatural, and I believe in it. There you go. Wonderful. Look at this Eden-esque path here. So this is the Eden-esque path that I walk to go up to Routley Park that we were just in, down to the current living space, and you can take this path all the way into central Langley. But I think it makes such perfect sense. I mean, oh, it's so detailed. Gospel means good news. It equals God's Son. And then cocoa is fantastic news. Well, nothing beats the good news of the gospel. But as far as nutrition and physical happiness goes, cocoa is the cat's meow, also known as God food. So my favorite line for this is God on the inside spiritually, God food on the inside physically. Now that's a message that I can deliver. Like, try and present me with a message that's better than that I can deliver to people in the world for a lifetime, that's not going to change. It's not going to diminish in its blessing and its power on the inside of people. God on the inside spiritually, God food on the inside physically. Now that's an offer that I can present, and that any human will gladly pleasurize in, as they should, because we're all made in the image of God. And that's one thing the Lord spoke to me, with the second greatest commandment, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Well, what does that mean? What's the implication for you logic lovers out there? What's the implication beneath that commandment? You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Well, the implication is that we are all the same. We are all the same. How can I love my neighbor as myself if I am not confident that what works for me is precisely what will work for you? You shall love your neighbor as yourself. The implication beneath that is that all of us are the same, okay? So if God food, okay, is the cat's meow for me physically, then it's also going to be the cat's meow for you physically, because God loves maximum unity. There's no mistakes here. And this is where I don't like it, when people lie or they throw up a self-defense wall and they say something like, oh, what works for you works for you. Oh, what works for me works for me. Or, oh, I'm so happy that you found something that works for you. I'm like, no. In the blessed perfect, think of the Father at the table with his children. He wants them all to eat the same thing that they all know and agree is the best. Okay? God is the King of unity. That's why there's one gospel. There's one gospel. Jesus Christ. You must confess that Jesus Christ is God in order to be saved, forgiven, filled with the Spirit, and go to heaven. There's one way to heaven, that works for all of us. Well, it's the same thing nutritionally. There's one physical plant, there's one physical substance that God ordains to be called God food that is the very finest for all of us to partake of first in our lives. Okay? And it's called God food. And so you shall love your neighbor as yourself. If God food works supremely and the very best for me nutritionally, then it's going to be, in the design of God and in the ordinance of God, it's going to be the very best for you too. And that's the exciting thing about spreading the God food message. You're spreading maximum happiness to every human on earth, to which it applies, just like the gospel of Jesus Christ is for everyone on earth. How exciting is that? Now that's a message I can deliver and a gift I can give.